Have you ever been to a party and someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, what's your favorite movie?" Well, we built a podcast around that very question. How are you, folks? Welcome to What's Your Favorite Movie? My name is Ed South, and this is the podcast where we talk about films, movies, cinema, etc., etc. And we are excited to have you with us today. Joining us in the What's Your Favorite Movie studio, Studio 14C, is none other than our good movie friend, Diana. Diana, how are you today?
I'm excellent, Ed. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks for bailing us out of another situation where we're going to record a show. And
Is that what I am? I'm a bailout?
You're the bailout. Diana Bailout.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Diana, in this day and age, aren't we all bailouts?
I guess.
I don't know. Anyway, folks, join us online for some more fun. Follow the program on Twitter at WYF Movie Podcast. Shoot us an email at favemoviepodcast@yahoo.com. Let us know you're out there. Let us know you're listening. Tell us what we should be doing. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Send us a recipe. Whatever you got, we want to hear it. Oh, what a segue. Speaking of recipes, today we're going to talk about food on the show. But Ed, this is a movie podcast. Hold on. We're going to talk about food movies. That's a subject people like, right?
It is a subject people like. People like food.
People like food and people like movies. And then when they go to a movie and see a movie about food, they're like, whoa, this is insane. Right? Don't they do that?
Sure.
So we came up with some food movies, some favorite food movies of ours. And I don't know Diana's list, and Diana doesn't know my list, except she knows that they're all going to be terrible films in the long run.
That's what I'm guessing.
And I'll even agree on one of them, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But I don't know if these are on your list or not, but what would you say some of the biggie food movies are on your list, or did you go a little obscure?
No, I don't think I went with any of the maybe one. But.
What are the big food movies? Like for me, when I think of food movies, I think of The Big Night or Big Night. Is that what it's called?
Right.
The Big Night?
I'm not sure. I've never seen it, but yes.
Which I slept through a lot of it, but it's about like a restaurant opening night.
Right.
And then I think of Ratatouille also, which is also a cartoon, of course, but is very food-oriented and very much about our love affair with food.
Right.
And it was a good movie. But we have some other ones that you might not have thought of or heard of. Let's get into it right now instead of me just yammering on America's favorite floundering podcast. What's your favorite movie? So here we go. We each came up with 3. Let me explain the rules. We each came up with 3 food movies. Diana, what's first on your food movie list?
All right. So number 1 on my list is very literally a movie about food. It's a documentary from 2009 called Fathead.
Fathead. I have seen a lot of food documentaries, but I have not seen... I've been called Fathead, but I've never seen Fathead. Tell us about 2009's Fathead.
So Fathead is actually it starts out anyway as a response to Morgan Spurlock's Super Size Me.
I've seen that.
Lots of people have seen that. And this movie, Fathead, kind of is pretty critical about, some of the things that Spurlock does. I mean, the fact that Spurlock has refused to release his food diaries. And
well, let's back up and tell the people Super Size Me is about a guy who decides to eat nothing but McDonald's for a month.
Right. So for 30 days, Morgan Spurlock eats nothing
but stuff from McDonald's.
Right.
Even the water comes from McDonald's.
Correct. Everything that he consumes for 30 days is from McDonald's. And he says in the movie that he's eating like 5,000 calories a day. Well, if you really start to pick
amateur.
Well, no, if you really start to pick that apart, eating 5,000 calories every single day is really hard to do if you're only eating 3 meals a day and having like normal sized or,
right,
normal-ish
McDonald's portion, right?
Right, normal-ish sized meals. The fact that he's coming up with 5,000 calories every single day is kind of strange.
Kind of wonky.
Yeah, it is. And he's refused to release his food diaries. And so this guy, Tom Naughton, who made Fathead, it's kind of his response to, like, well, what was really going on here? Like, of course you gained weight over 30 days
right.
because if you eat 5,000 calories of anything, you're going to gain weight. So what this movie does...
That's why a hippo's huge. It eats 5,000 pounds of kale every day or whatever they feed him.
So what this movie does, he spends 30 days eating nothing but fast food, mostly from McDonald's, but also from other fast food places. But he does it in a way that, you know, kind of makes sense. Like, he eats like normal sized meals. He also, you know, doesn't have like full sugar, you know, sodas or milkshakes or anything like that. And what happens is that over 30 days, he actually loses weight.
I like this movie.
Well, you should absolutely watch this movie, because here's the thing that I really love about this movie is that this guy, Tom Naughton, he's a writer, he's a stand-up comedian. He's not a scientist, he's not a dietitian, he's not a nutritionist, not in any way. But he tackles, you know, the science of food and eating and whatever in a way that's really accessible and makes it really easy to understand, you know, like what's going on. And he really attacks this whole, you know, thing that we've been fed for the last 50 years, which is that, you know, if you eat fat and cholesterol, like that's what's going to give you a heart attack, which is not actually true.
Yay!
Yeah. So I really highly recommend this movie. It
sounds awesome.
Extremely low budget, and it shows.
It's all good.
But he does it in a way that's. I mean, he's funny. At times it's a little too snarky for its own good, but. You know, he tackles stuff that, you know, is that most people don't really realize about food and nutrition, like I said, in a way that's, you know, really accessible to, you know, the layperson. So,
do you know where this film could easily be viewed? Is it streaming anywhere, or?
It's readily accessible on any of your, you know, major streaming services.
Fathead 2009. I want to check that out. I didn't think about documentaries when we talk about food. There's a lot of good food documentaries.
There are.
Fed Up. That's one.
Yeah, there's lots of them.
Food Inc.
Right.
That's one.
Right. There's lots of them out there. I went with the one that, you know, I think really kind of presents stuff that people need to realize, you know, about food and eating. And it's unfortunate that it is so low budget, but so it goes.
It is what it is, as they say in the game.
That's right.
In Super Size Me, in the beginning, he eats the first thing he gets is a double quarter pounder with cheese, I think, and then he eats it, and then like they show him throwing it up instantly. Wuss. I was surprised that I got on board for the rest of the movie, because come on. A double quarter pounder is. I mean,
I enjoyed Super Size Me. It's very entertaining.
Yeah.
But from a scientific standpoint, you know, there's a lot of gaps in there that things don't really add up.
So let's go to number 2 on our list. We'll go to me, and I will say of my 3 films, this is the most highbrow of the 3. And it is 1997's Good Burger. Oh, yes.
I should have realized that was going to be on your list. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
That's my obvious pick.
Yeah.
Good Burger. All 3 of my movies. At first I was like, oh, they all have to do with fast food, surprisingly. And then on top of that, they all actually have to do with burgers. So Good Burger is a classic, and I don't think I need to pontificate too much on it. Are you familiar with The Good Burger?
I'm familiar with The Good Burger. I've never seen it, but I know what it is.
I believe you might also be familiar with my anticipation upon its release back in 1997.
You were so jazzed about this movie. You couldn't wait for this movie.
Good Burger stars 2 fellas known as Keenan and Kel. Keenan is currently on Saturday Night Live. Kel has dropped off the face of the earth. But they were on a sketch comedy show on Nickelodeon, and then they had their own sitcom, Keenan and Kel, which I really liked, even though it was a kid's show, because it was very paid tribute to the old-fashioned sitcoms of the 50s, kind of that style. So I really liked that show. And then they got a movie, and I was like, what? And it is about them running this fast food establishment. Actually, it's based on a sketch from the sketch show, which sketches were like 2 minutes long on that show, and then they stretched it out to 90 minutes. But it's basically about these 2 guys that work at the fast food place, and then they open up like the big fancier fast food place across the street, and there's industrial espionage, if you will. And any good movie about fast food has to have a scene where someone's laying on a conveyor belt and gets like mustard squirted in their face. So I'm pretty sure it checks off that box for this film. And everyone knows Good Burger, and I just had to include it in this list because it's such a fun film. Diana, you should find a place where Good Burger is sold or rented and watch it or rent it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Wait till I tell you who else is in it. Sinbad. Abe Vigoda. And Shaquille O'Neal.
Awesome.
That's a cast.
That
right
is
there.
a cast.
Let me tell you something. I don't care Sinbad one way or the other as far as like if you were like, oh, there's a Sinbad special on tonight. I'll be like, whatever. All of Sinbad's movies are really good. Jingle All the Way.
You say so.
Jingle All the Way. House Guest. Oh, that is good stuff. So, Good Burger, without going on too long about it, you guys know where it's at. That's my pick for number one food movie. Let's go over to Diana for number deuce.
So, you already blew it. Ratatouille.
Oh, see? What a jerk.
Yep. So, from 2007, Pixar's Ratatouille.
What year is it? 2007.
Yes.
Okay.
I have actually kind of a love-hate relationship with this movie.
I can go with that.
Yeah. What I love about it, I mean, it's fun. It's a lot of fun to watch. And they really kind of, surprisingly for, a kid's movie and for a cartoon, really get into, well, not really get into, but they touch on, the profound way, that food, is connected to our sense of comfort and home.
Yes.
And, and I love that about the movie. And I love that they do things, with an anime movie that you can't do in real life, like, show the way that, people experience tastes and whatever. So I really like that about the movie. What I dislike very much...
They knew they were making a food movie. Like, it wasn't just like Good Burger where it's like, oh, it happens to be about food.
Right.
They knew they were making a movie about food,
yes.
Right?
And as a foodie myself, like, I just appreciate, sort of the reverence that they give to, food and ingredients and whatever. And let me just throw this out there. Regardless of what Brad Bird has done or will do with his career, I will always, always, always love him for bringing Family Dog into the universe.
You're doing some deep cuts there, but yes.
Yes. From 1987 episode of Amazing Stories. Family Dog, I love. Just throwing that out there.
I have a small handful of memories / stories where back in the day when there was only 2 or 3, or there was 3 or 4, I should say, cable or TV channels that everybody watched at night. Once in a while, the next day at school, everybody would come in and just instantly say something that was on TV. Everybody came into school the day after the Family Dog episode of Amazing Stories aired and said, Mom, he's whizzing on the carpet.
Yep. Yes.
Good memories.
Yes. So... here's what I dislike. There are a few things, but number one thing that I really dislike about this movie, there is some atrocious voice work. I am looking at you, Janine Garofalo.
Oh.
Okay? Just really, really bad. The fake French accent is awful.
That was an odd choice.
It really is. It's one of my big, big, big pet peeves about just casting in general. Like, if you want a French character, cast someone who speaks French or does a passable French accent or whatever. Don't cast Janine Garofalo.
You should always cast Gerard Depardieu if you need a French guy. Look at the mouse! Right. He is in my food!
And also, and this is, this ties in with my big pet peeve about, voices and accents and whatever. Like, it doesn't make any sense that, like, half of the accents in the movie are American and half of them are French.
Right.
It takes place in France. Everyone is supposed to be French. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense.
You get a pass that they're not speaking French, but they need to have French accents, or nobody has a French accent.
I vote for nobody has a French accent, because the fake French accent just...
or cast French actors who can talk.
Exactly. So
they probably experiment it. Might have been a little too hard. The thing with Pixar movies is you call it a kids movie, and I wouldn't say that's a kids movie. I say it's a family movie, which is different. But yeah, they have to... they have to keep kids in mind, and they have to make sure the kids can understand the actors. If maybe they had a French girl in there. Maybe like the French version. I wonder what the French voice cast is like.
I don't know, but it's got to be better than Janine Garofalo. I love Janine Garofalo,
yes.
but not in that role.
She is.
It's off. It's so distracting to me to listen to that character speak, and all I can see is Janine Garofalo doing a fake French accent. Oh, it's awful.
It is how you say awful, no?
Yeah.
My big beef with that movie is not even a beef. It's just lower on my list. I'm a huge Pixar fan, but there's not a lot of good characters in it beyond Ratatouille or Remy
yeah.
and his brother, and then
Right.
it's all humans. And
Right.
I don't like cartoon humans. I want woodpeckers and panthers and bears and neckties.
Yeah, fair point.
2007's Ratatouille. I also meant to write. Do you know what Ratatouille is? Have you ever had Ratatouille?
Yes, I have. I've
it
eaten
good?
Ratatouille. Yeah, well, it can be, sure.
It's like eggplant, right?
It's like a vegetable stew.
Pass.
It's good.
I'd rather eat rats. I don't know what that means. All right, Diana. So I'm really excited about my next two choices on my list because I dug deep. And as you may know, I have a very, very large film collection in my own home that dates back 30 years I've been collecting movies. So I had to go into my VHS collection and went all the way back to tape number 86, which is from 1989.
Oh, my goodness.
Something I recorded when I was in high school. And it is a film called Fast Food from 1989. This movie probably is only on my radar because it stars, and he's not even like the lead, but it stars one Mr. Jim Varney, who also played Ernest, in one of his very few un-Ernest roles in the Ernest heyday. He plays Wrangler Bob, and he runs a restaurant chain, which I forgot to write down the name of. I think it's just Wrangler Bob's maybe. But anyway, he owns a restaurant chain, and he wants to build one of his Wrangler Bob's burgers joints on the spot of a little gas station, a little mom and pop gas station. So he tries to buy the gas station, and they're not going to sell the gas station because the gas station is part of their family. It's been in their family for generations. But they're struggling. So then they decide, well, hey, let's open up a restaurant. If Wrangler Bob, in his 10-gallon hat and Boss Hog suit and slight earnest-sounding accent, wants to open up a restaurant here, it must be a good spot to open a restaurant. So let's do it. And they open up a restaurant, and they decide, a little fast food joint, and they decide the secret of a fast food restaurant is in the secret sauce. So,
Of course.
So they decide they're going to make their own secret sauce. So, of course, they go to their scientist friend who works at some kind of unexplained sex clinic or something where they're studying.
Of course he does.
Yeah, they're studying people who are. This is a PG-13 movie, too. They go to the lab where they are studying people who are constantly interested. And so they're like, hey, can you make a secret sauce? He's like, yeah, I'll work on it. And then there's like an explosion, and some of like the sexy sauce gets into the secret sauce. So when people eat the burgers, oh my goodness, it's PG-13 craziness.
I gotta say, that sounds really terrible. That sounds really, really terrible.
Well, I hadn't seen this movie in probably 20-some years, but I had in the back of my head that it wasn't really good, and I just liked it. I only had even seen it because Jim Varney was in it. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And being in my 40s, and I don't need a TNA movie to... whatever phraseology you want to use. It's PG-13. If you were watching this in your youth to see naked people, there's none to be had. Just some very, very mild innuendo. So the burger sauce is supposed to make everyone aroused, and then they just like make out or whatever. And it's like, whatever. But the biggest thing is it's not very funny. So I'm actually not recommending fast food, which you won't even be able to find anyways, unless you're at my house and have the only copy left. What?
Then I'm so glad that we spent this time talking about it.
Well, I wanted to share it with people.
Sure.
I wanted to warn everyone in case anyone was going to watch fast food. Also, the school that it takes place at the beginning was named Hopkins University, not Johns Hopkins, but I don't know if there's another Hopkins University we should know of. Directed by Michael A. Simpson, who made this between Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers, and Sleepaway Camp 3, Teenage Wasteland. And when I was rooting around on the internet and doing a little research, people were very excited that, quote, the girl from Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3, unquote, was in Fast Food also.
Oh, boy.
And I should also mention, so when Wrangler Bob, Jim Varney, wants to sabotage the new restaurant, he calls someone, it's undetermined who she is exactly, if it's his daughter, but he makes some way inappropriate sexual overtones to her, but whatever, played by Tracy Lord.
Oh, wow.
And this was one of her first legal movies. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Fast Food from 1989. Don't necessarily watch it, but you won't be able to find it, so don't worry. On to number 5.
All right. So then my last pick is, I'm bending the rules a little bit because this movie isn't actually about food.
It's about drinks?
No.
Lemonade the movie?
No, but food serves as a sort of central metaphor in the movie. So it's Take This Waltz.
Take This Waltz.
From 2011. This is a Sarah Polley movie. She wrote, directed, and produced this movie. So Michelle Williams plays the lead, and her husband is played by Seth Rogen. He is a cookbook author, and he spends his whole time in the movie cooking chicken, and eventually publishes a cookbook called Tastes Like Chicken.
Tastes like chicken.
And the chicken is very much a metaphor for their relationship. It's very safe and very bland and very boring.
Oh, that's sad.
But it's a really good movie. I'm very impressed with Sarah Polley as a filmmaker.
As a human being, really.
Well, I don't know. I don't know her as a human being, but I've enjoyed her films quite a lot. I definitely...
She did Waitress, right?
No.
All right.
No.
I'll back out of the conversation then. Continue.
So she got a lot of buzz with Away From Her in 2006, and then Take This Waltz, and then followed that up with the autobiographical documentary Stories We Tell from 2012. This is Stories We Tell is a really good movie. I definitely recommend that. I like her a lot as a filmmaker. She's got an interesting, vision, and which surprises me because, like the movies that I'd seen her in as an actress, she's funny and, whatever. It never occurred to me that she would become like this really interesting filmmaker,
Right. Who made Waitress? Is she in that? She's in it.
Is she in it?
I don't know. I thought so.
I don't think so.
All right.
All right.
What's it like a big mainstream movie Sarah Polley was in that people would know her from? Must Love Dogs?
I hope not. But I think the first thing, of course, she was a child actress on Canadian television. She was in...
Swan's Crossing?
Whatever. But, no. But, I think the first movie that I ever saw her in was Go.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Go's a good movie.
Yeah. But she's, it's like all of her roles as an actress have been kind of like that. And so, again, it was kind of surprising when she started making movies, and they're really interesting and good,
Yes. Well, it's like you look at, there's a certain spot in people's careers where they stop being a for-hire and then they become a creative force. Look at Quentin Tarantino was on the Golden Girls before he became big. So it's always cool to see. And you can even see Woody Allen doing game shows back in the day and stuff like that. So I also noticed your sneer when I just said Woody Allen. So
I think we're all kind of sneering.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit, Woody. I hope Michelle Williams was paid handsomely for her role in that film.
I don't know, but, she's another one, actually, that has really surprised me because, I'm just going to throw this out there. I hated her on Dawson's Creek. I hated her. But she's turned herself into a really good actress, which has surprised me.
She never really took, like all the Dawson's Creekers took a stab at movie stardom and have like in what's her name? Katie Holmes does some. She on again, off again, does something really good, some middling crap. But
yeah, I mean, she's done some okay movies, but I mean, honestly,
she's not a movie star.
Well, Katie Holmes as an actress doesn't seem to have a whole lot of range.
There you go. But I mean, but what I'm getting at is there's no like Michelle Williams. Like, oh yes, there was. She was in I was saying like she never went for like a big mainstream Hollywood film, name above the credits, and like try to be like a big movie star, but. There's Dick with Kirsten Dunst, isn't that what it's called? Her and
I never saw. I don't know.
Where they topple Watergate or something. Her and Kirsten Dunst like topple Watergate or something.
I don't know, but I mean, she did the Marilyn Monroe thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's done a lot of really interesting movies, and she's really actually good, which has surprised me.
What was her name on? She was Jen, right? Wasn't she Jen on Dawson's Creek?
Jen Lindley. Yes.
Jen Lindley. And who did she end up with in the end?
I don't know. She dies at the end.
Didn't she hook... what?
She dies at the end.
I bailed. I was like so obsessed with Dawson's Creek for like 2 seasons and then just like gave up.
Because it was bad.
I guess. Not for as a distinct reason as Felicity, where I stopped watching because she cut her hair. No, I stopped watching because she picked the wrong dude.
Right.
And cut her hair. All right, folks. So that is...
Take This Waltz.
Take This Waltz.
From 2011.
2011.
Yes.
2011. Michelle Williams. Who's she married to?
Seth Rogen. He's very subdued.
She's married to Seth Rogen in real life?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. In the movie.
I thought you said her real life husband.
No.
Okay.
No.
Who's she married to in real life?
No one
Pacey?
yet. No one yet.
Dawson? No. I can't think of it. Jack? Whatever. Folks, are you ready for the finale? Another number 6 on our list, on our final film. I dug back into my video collection to find this one. This one I had seen somewhat recently, but it's been a few years. And I was delighted at how utterly inane this film is. 1986, Hamburger the Motion Picture. Not to be confused with Hot Dog the Movie, which isn't about hot dogs. It's about skiing. Hamburger the Motion Picture is about hamburgers, as all my films were. I should have told you just to pick your 3 favorite hamburger movies. Diana, Hamburger the Motion Picture is a comedy based on the concept of the McDonald's Burger University, I think they call it, where you go to school and train to be a McDonald's manager. But here we're talking about Buster Burger University, where a lot of students enroll to learn how to run their own Buster Burger franchise under the strict ironclad fist of Dick Butkus, starring Dick Butkus, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh boy! And
he is a drill sergeant, and instead of like the riding crop like Patton has, he has a spatula, and he gives his orders. Now, in these movies, this is a Police Academy ripoff, like to the highest order. All these movies, like Police Academy ripoffs, there's a group of people that go into some kind of school, academic, academy, university, whatever, school. There's also like Stewardess School is another great film, or Recruits. Anyway, and each character has like one personality, and that's all. And so all the jokes hinge off of just that one. So you have this group, and it's this guy. You're mostly following this guy who like has to pass, and he can't fail, or he loses some inheritance or whatever. But then he meets the other gang in the Buster Burger, his class, and there's like a nerd with the tape on his glasses, and he's really enthusiastic. And then one of the students is a nun. Sure. There's no explanation why she's there. She's just a nun. There's no payoff. Like, there's no reason why she's there. She's just a nun. But then at one point when they pass out the uniforms, they have a nun, like a Buster Burger University uniform in a nun version, and that's kind of funny. There's a fat guy. You got to have the fat guy. And when he gets very hungry, he pulls out his little device and puts it on his finger and shocks himself, and that's hilarious. And he knocks people into pools. Then you get to the 1986. We weren't an enlightened society in 1986, were we? A lot of creepy things in movies. So one of the people in the class is like this. I would say she's not from a real country, but kind of supposed to be like a Colombian freedom fighter kind of thing. Like she's got camouflage and a big, huge gun, because that would be a thing at a school. She's from the country of guacamole, and she's just like this freedom fighter, and she's trying to get Buster Burger franchise so she can send money back home to help. Yeah, whatever. It's horrible. And then there's a rock and roll star who is a black guy. And he shows up at the university in a police car, escorted with handcuffs on, and they never explain why.
Oh, dear.
And they say, you're here because the Supreme Court said we didn't have enough minorities in the school, so you have to pass this class or whatever. And they never explain what he did, and he's handcuffed the whole movie.
Oh, my God.
And he's just trying. It's like, is that, like, what? Like, it's so bizarre. It's like you're not even laughing at. Like, sometimes like a outdated racist joke, you just like snicker, like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. It's like, what? Why? So anyway, and then they make Buster Burgers, and it's great. And there's a scene where there's a conveyor belt, and the guy gets sucked onto the conveyor belt and gets mustard squirted in his face. But this is like it looks like a low budget movie. I remember when it came out in the theaters, I remember wanting to go see it, and I was too young to go see an R-rated film of such. But it has like big props and big sets and costumes. There's like a lot of money in this movie. Like they're all wearing uniforms, and there's lots of Buster Burger props. And I know you want to see it really bad. And it's just great. And I'll just say that the finale, the coup d'etat, if it were, is that the right word?
No. Not even close.
The finale of the film involves a bottle of industrial laxative. So that should tell you. And and then it's just silly. And then at the end, there's like a couple of like really ugly racist jokes. I was like, ugh. But it's a product of its time.
Yeah.
I'm not racist. I love Hamburger the Motion Picture, 1986.
Oh, boy.
Good luck finding that anywhere. I don't think it's out on DVD or or Blu-ray, but I have a VHS from back in the day that I was happy to pull out. Also, couldn't help but notice there was a credit for a storyboard artist in that movie. Why would there be a storyboard artist in Hamburger the Motion Picture? Who knows? So, Diana, I would like to see Fathead.
Yes.
Sounds really good.
Yes.
Take This Waltz sounds pretty good. And I've seen Ratatouille. So, you need to see Good Burger. And then you should watch Hamburger the Motion Picture.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if my schedule allows.
So, that's our list of favorite movies and fast food. Fathead, Good Burger, Ratatouille, Fast Food, starring Jim Varney, Take This Waltz, starring Jen Lindley, and Hamburger the Motion Picture, starring America's treasured actor Dick Butkus. He's a doll. Remember he was on My Two Dads?
Oh, was he? I don't remember that.
He played Klewicki.
Oh.
He owned the restaurant downstairs.
Oh, okay.
It all comes back to food.
Yeah.
Folks, if you enjoyed hearing about these films, some of which have horrible racist undertones, by all means, rate or review this show on iTunes and leave out the part about the racist movies. They're not racist movies. They had some bad jokes. Anyway, rate or review us on iTunes is a great way to help this show grow and expand into the universe of podcasting, and we would appreciate it. Share us on social media and all that good stuff. Again, we're on Twitter at WYF Movie Podcast. FaveMoviePodcast at yahoo.com is our email address, and you can find us on Facebook as well. And you can always find us in your hearts. Diana, thanks for joining us on this menu of fine food films.
It's been a pleasure as always.
All right, guys. Until next time, please remember, keep your plates clean. I don't know what that means. It's khaki wishes and cookie dreams. So long, everybody. That was a long song.